There is a moment, suspended between the sky and the earth, that holds a unique and terrible power over the human imagination. It is a moment that exists in the thin air, in the hush between heartbeats, in the space where hope and dread collide. For centuries, humans have looked up at the sky with a mixture of awe and envy, dreaming of flight, of freedom, of conquering the invisible boundaries that separate us from the heavens. And yet, in that very act of reaching upward, we have also invited the possibility of falling. The sky, for all its beauty, is indifferent to our ambitions. It offers no guarantees. It's the moment when a journey of routine and wonder turns into one of irreversible descent. The ordinary transforms into the extraordinary, and the extraordinary into the unthinkable. In the blink of an eye, the familiar hum of engines and the gentle sway of the cabin are replaced by a sensation of weightlessness, of freefall, of destiny slipping out of human hands. The world outside the window, once a tapestry of clouds and sunlight, becomes a blur of motion and fear. An airplane, a marvel of engineering and a symbol of human ambition, ceases to be a vessel of travel. It is no longer a bridge between distant places, a conduit for dreams and reunions. In that instant, it becomes a crucible of fate, a stage upon which the final act is written not by the pilots or the passengers, but by the relentless laws of nature and chance. The cockpit, once a place of control and calculation, becomes a front-row seat to the unfolding of the unimaginable. It becomes something else entirely, a projectile, a falling star, a capsule of futures abruptly ending. The airplane, once a symbol of progress and possibility, is transformed in an instant into a harbinger of loss. The descent is not just physical, it is existential. It is the collapse of certainty, the unraveling of stories, the sudden rewriting of countless lives. This moment is not just about physics or mechanics, it's about the sudden, violent shattering of order. It is the intrusion of chaos into a world that, moments before, seemed governed by rules and routines. The turbulence that rattles the cabin is more than a meteorological event. It is a metaphor for the unpredictability of existence itself. In that instant, the illusion of safety is stripped away, revealing the raw vulnerability that lies beneath. We place our trust in these magnificent machines, in the unseen pilots, in the complex systems that promise to carry us safely over continents and oceans. Every ticket purchased, every boarding pass scanned, is an act of faith. Not just in technology, but in the invisible web of expertise, regulation, and vigilance that underpins modern aviation. We trust that the engineers have anticipated every failure, that the pilots are prepared for every emergency, that the air traffic controllers are watching over us from afar. We trust because we must. The fall betrays that trust in the most dramatic way possible, reminding us of a fundamental vulnerability we often choose to forget in our daily lives. It is a rupture in the fabric of normalcy, a reminder that even the most advanced systems are not infallible. The worried faces of passengers, the flashing warning lights in the cockpit, the sudden shift from routine to emergency, all of these are stark reminders that, for all our progress, we remain at the mercy of forces beyond our control. The sound of an airplane overhead is, for most of us, a mundane occurrence. It is the soundtrack of modern life, a distant rumble that fades into the background of our daily routines. We rarely pause to consider the miracle of flight, the thousands of calculations and decisions that make each journey possible. The airplane is both everywhere and nowhere, a constant presence that we take for granted. It's the background noise of a connected world, a reminder of people heading to business meetings, family reunions, or dream vacations. Airports are places of anticipation and reunion, of beginnings and endings. Each departure board is a tapestry of stories, each gate a threshold to possibility. The hum of conversation, the shuffle of luggage, the announcements echoing through the terminal, all of these are the sounds of a world in motion, a world that believes in the promise of safe arrival. But when that sound changes, when it falters, sputters, or grows into a terrifying roar, it captures our complete attention. The ordinary is shattered, replaced by a primal awareness of danger. The sudden silence or the unnatural noise is a signal that something has gone terribly wrong. In that moment, every passenger becomes acutely aware of their own fragility, their own mortality. The finality of an air crash is what sets it apart from many other forms of tragedy. It is swift, absolute, and often leaves little room for hope or rescue. The impact is not just physical but psychological, a collective trauma that reverberates far beyond the crash site. The images of twisted metal and scorched earth become symbols of loss, reminders of the thin line between safety and disaster. There is no slow decline, no prolonged period of warning for those on the ground. The world continues as normal, unaware of the tragedy unfolding above. The peaceful landscape, the routines of daily life, are suddenly and violently interrupted. The randomness of it all is part of what makes it so haunting. One moment, everything is as it should be. The next, everything has changed. There is only the before and the after. The world is divided by an invisible line, a moment that separates what was from what will never be again. For those left behind, the absence is palpable, a void that cannot be filled, a silence that echoes with unanswered questions. One minute, a silver shape glides through the clouds, a testament to progress. It is a vision of human achievement, a symbol of our ability to transcend boundaries and connect distant places. The airplane is a promise kept, a dream realized, a marvel that has become mundane through repetition. The next, there is a scar on the landscape and a silence that is deeper and more profound than the noise that preceded it. The aftermath is a tableau of loss, a place where hope has been extinguished, where the future has been rewritten in an instant. The blackened earth, the twisted wreckage, the solemn faces of emergency crews, all of these are reminders of the fragility of life and the finality of fate. This stark transition from normalcy to catastrophe is a powerful, chilling narrative that we can't help but be drawn to. It is the stuff of nightmares and headlines, of whispered conversations and sleepless nights. We are fascinated by the suddenness, the unpredictability, the way in which everything can change in a heartbeat. It is a reminder that, for all our planning and preparation, we are never truly in control. For those on board, these final moments are an unimaginable reality. The mind races, searching for explanations, for hope, for a way out. Some pray, some hold hands, some stare out the window in disbelief. The cabin, once a place of anonymity and routine, becomes a crucible of emotion, a place where fear, love, regret, and acceptance collide. Time itself must warp, stretching seconds into an eternity of dawning horror, or compressing a lifetime of thoughts into a fleeting instant. In those final moments, the boundaries between past, present, and future blur. Memories flash before the mind's eye, childhood laughter, first loves, unfinished conversations. The ordinary details of life take on a new significance, as if the mind is trying to hold on to what is slipping away. The view from the window, once a breathtaking panorama of the world below, becomes a terrifying rush of ground approaching too fast. The familiar landmarks, the patchwork of fields and cities, are transformed into harbingers of impact. The sense of scale is lost, replaced by a visceral awareness of speed and inevitability. The world outside is both impossibly close and heartbreakingly out of reach. The cabin, a space of shared quiet transit, transforms into a scene of chaos and braced resignation. Oxygen masks dangle from the ceiling, seatbelts are pulled tight, hands grip armrests with white-knuckled intensity. In the chaos, there is also a strange sense of unity, a recognition that in this moment everyone's fate is intertwined. The boundaries between strangers dissolve, replaced by a shared experience of fear and hope. It is this human element, this collection of individual stories sealed within the fuselage, that makes the story of a crash so deeply compelling and tragic. Each passenger is a universe of memories, relationships, and dreams. The family photos on tray tables, the unread books, the half-finished letters, all of these are reminders of the lives interrupted, the stories left unfinished. We don't just see a machine failing, we see the end of countless personal journeys, each one as important and complex as our own. The empty seats, the scattered belongings, the personal items amid the wreckage, they are silent witnesses to the lives that once filled the space with laughter, conversation, and hope. The finality is not just mechanical, it is deeply, heartbreakingly personal. For the families and friends left behind, the loss is not an abstract statistic. It is a wound that never fully heals. The memorials, the flowers, the photographs, they are acts of remembrance, attempts to make sense of the senseless, to honor the lives that were lost. This is why the aftermath of a plane crash holds such a grip on us. It is not just a story of technology gone wrong, but of human lives cut short, of futures erased in an instant. The investigation, the search for answers, becomes a way of honoring the dead, of seeking justice, of trying to ensure that such a tragedy will not happen again. It's a modern-day mystery of the highest order. The disappearance of a plane, the sudden loss of contact, the search for wreckage, all of these are elements of a drama that captivates the world. The uncertainty, the not knowing, is almost as painful as the loss itself. We are drawn to the mystery, compelled to seek answers, to make sense of the senseless. The questions begin to form almost immediately, spoken in hushed tones by news anchors and debated in online forums. What happened? What went wrong? Was it human error, mechanical failure, or something more mysterious? The search for answers becomes a collective obsession, a way of processing the shock and grief. Could it have been prevented? Was there a warning sign missed, a protocol not followed, a decision made in haste? The investigation is painstaking, methodical, driven by a desire to learn, to improve, to prevent future tragedies. Every detail is scrutinized, every possibility explored. We look at the scattered wreckage, a jigsaw puzzle of metal and wire, and we feel a desperate need for answers. The investigators sift through debris, searching for clues, for patterns, for the one piece that will make sense of the chaos. It is a process that is both scientific and deeply human, a search for meaning in the aftermath of disaster. The desire for a coherent story, for a clear line of cause and effect, is a deeply human instinct. We want to believe that, if we can just understand what happened, we can prevent it from happening again. We want to impose order on chaos, to find meaning in tragedy. In the face of such a sudden and total loss of control, we seek to restore order through understanding. The black box becomes a symbol of hope, a repository of truth, a silent witness to the final moments. The analysis is painstaking, the stakes impossibly high. Every second of data, every word spoken in the cockpit, is a clue in the search for answers. We want to know the sequence of events, to pinpoint the single faulty wire or the one wrong decision, because in doing so, we hope to reclaim a sense of mastery over the technology we have created and the fates we have entrusted to it. In the end, the story of a plane crash is not just about loss. It is about the enduring human quest for understanding, for safety, for meaning in a world that is often unpredictable and unforgiving. It is a story that reminds us of our limits, but also of our resilience, our capacity to learn, to adapt, and to hope, even in the face of the finality of the fall. Flying is an unnatural act. It is a marvel of human ingenuity, a testament to our relentless desire to conquer the elements and transcend the boundaries of our biology. Yet for all its wonder, flying remains fundamentally at odds with our evolutionary programming. The very idea of leaving the ground, of soaring above the clouds at speeds and altitudes our ancestors could never have imagined, is both exhilarating and deeply unsettling. Humans were not born with wings. We have always looked to the sky with a mixture of awe and envy, watching birds glide effortlessly on invisible currents, wishing we could join them. For millennia, flight was the domain of myth and legend, reserved for gods, angels, and creatures of fantasy. The dream of flight was a metaphor for freedom, for escape, for the impossible. We are creatures of the earth, bound by gravity, our senses attuned to the ground beneath our feet. Our earliest ancestors survived by staying close to the land, reading its subtle cues and trusting the stability it provided. The ground is our anchor, our comfort zone, the place where our bodies and minds feel most at home. To ascend tens of thousands of feet into the air, to travel faster than any land animal, is to defy our own nature. It is to place ourselves in an environment for which we are utterly unprepared, both physically and psychologically. The act of flying is a leap of faith, a conscious decision to trust in technology, in engineering, and in the skill of strangers. We do it inside a pressurized metal tube, a fragile bubble of life sustained in an environment that is otherwise lethally cold and thin. The airplane is a marvel of design, but it is also a reminder of our vulnerability. Just outside the window, the air is too thin to breathe, the temperature cold enough to freeze flesh in seconds. Every flight is a delicate balance between safety and catastrophe, between the known and the unknown. This fundamental truth is the source of a deep, primal fear that lurks just beneath the surface of modern air travel. It is a fear that is not always rational, but it is always present. A whisper in the back of the mind, a tightening in the chest, a quickening of the pulse as the engines roar to life and the plane begins its ascent. Even the most seasoned traveler can feel a flicker of it during a moment of unexpected turbulence, a subtle reminder that we are guests in a realm we were not designed for. The sudden jolt, the rattling overhead bins, the uneasy glances exchanged between strangers, these are the moments when the illusion of control is shattered and the reality of our situation comes rushing in. The fear is ancient, but the context is entirely modern. Our ancestors may have feared storms, wild animals, or the darkness of night, but the fear of falling from the sky is a uniquely modern anxiety. It is the product of a world in which technology has outpaced our instincts, where the miracles of science have created new frontiers of both possibility and peril. This fear is amplified by our complete lack of control. In the air, we are powerless, unable to influence the outcome of our journey in any meaningful way. We are strapped into our seats, surrounded by strangers, our fate in the hands of people we will never meet. As a passenger, you are a passive participant in a highly complex operation. You are one small part of a vast, interconnected system, a system that relies on the flawless coordination of countless individuals, machines, and procedures. The sheer scale of it is both awe-inspiring and intimidating. You hand over your autonomy to the pilots in the cockpit, to the air traffic controllers in a distant tower, and to the engineers who designed and maintained the aircraft. Each of these people plays a critical role in ensuring your safety, yet their work is invisible, their decisions made behind closed doors and locked cockpits. This surrender is a necessary part of the social contract of air travel. We agree to follow the rules, to trust the process, to believe that the system is designed to protect us. In return, we are granted the privilege of flight, the ability to cross continents in hours, to visit distant lands, to reunite with loved ones or explore the unknown. We trust that everyone involved is competent, diligent, and focused. We trust that the pilots are well trained, that the mechanics have checked every bolt and wire, that the air traffic controllers are alert and attentive. This trust is the foundation upon which modern aviation is built. But when something goes wrong, that trust is broken, and our powerlessness becomes terrifyingly apparent. You cannot pull over. There is no shoulder on which to stop, no safe harbor in the sky. The realization that you are utterly dependent on forces beyond your control can be overwhelming. You cannot get out and walk. The doors are sealed, the seatbelt sign is on, and the only option is to sit and wait, hoping that the professionals in charge will guide you safely to your destination. You are simply along for the ride, a silent witness to a drama unfolding in the cockpit, the outcome of which will determine your fate. The sense of being a bystander in your own journey is both humbling and unnerving. This sense of helplessness is a potent ingredient in the cocktail of fear that surrounds aviation disasters. It is not just the fear of death or injury, but the fear of being unable to act, unable to protect yourself or those you love. The media's portrayal of air crashes feeds this primal fear. News coverage is immediate, intense, and often sensational, focusing on the most dramatic and tragic aspects of the event. The images and stories are broadcast around the world, searing themselves into our collective memory. A plane crash is a major news event, guaranteed to command headlines and lead news broadcasts for days. The rarity of such disasters only amplifies their impact, making each one seem like a singular, catastrophic failure of the system we trust. The images are dramatic and unforgettable. The smoking wreckage, the search parties moving through a debris field, the grieving families clutching photos of their loved ones. These scenes evoke a deep empathy and a shared sense of vulnerability, reminding us that tragedy can strike anyone, anywhere, at any time. While statistically, flying is one of the safest forms of transportation ever invented, this fact offers little comfort in the face of such visceral imagery. Numbers and probabilities are abstract. Fear is immediate and personal. Our brains are not wired to think in statistics. They are wired to react to vivid emotional stories. We remember the rare disaster, not the millions of uneventful flights. Our minds are drawn to the exceptional, the dramatic, the terrifying. The story of a plane crash is one of the most powerful and frightening stories our modern world can tell, and its rarity only makes each occurrence seem that much more significant and terrifying. The narrative is simple and compelling. Ordinary people, caught in extraordinary circumstances, facing the ultimate test of fate and technology. Ultimately, our fear of flying and our fascination with crashes are two sides of the same coin. Both are rooted in our desire to understand and control the forces that shape our lives, to make sense of the risks we take and the trust we place in others. They both stem from the same place, the inherent drama of putting our lives in the hands of technology and trusting it to conquer the forces of nature. Every flight is a story of human ambition, of our willingness to challenge the limits of what is possible, and of the risks we are willing to accept in pursuit of our dreams. We are fascinated because we need to understand the risk we are taking, however small it may be. We seek out stories of disaster and survival, of heroism and failure, because they help us process our own fears and anxieties. We want to know what went wrong, how it could have been prevented, and what lessons can be learned. We watch the news reports and read the investigation findings because we are seeking reassurance. We want to believe that every tragedy leads to progress, that every mistake is a lesson learned, that the system is constantly improving. We want to believe that the system learns from its mistakes, that the tragedy of one flight will lead to greater safety for all the flights that follow. This hope is what allows us to keep flying, to keep trusting, to keep pushing the boundaries of what is possible. The fear is real, but so is the hope that by confronting it, by dissecting and understanding its causes, we can continue to push the boundaries of what is possible while keeping that primal fear at bay. In the end, flying is a profound act of faith in ourselves, in each other, and in the remarkable machines we have built to carry us into the sky. It is a reminder that progress is never without risk, and that the courage to face our fears is what makes us truly human. In the vocabulary of disaster, few phrases are as evocative as the black box. The very mention of it conjures images of tragedy, mystery, and the relentless pursuit of answers. In the aftermath of an aviation accident, when the world is left reeling and families are desperate for closure, the black box becomes a symbol of hope, a beacon in the darkness, promising to illuminate the final moments of a flight gone wrong. The name itself suggests a container of secrets, a mysterious oracle that holds the key to understanding an otherwise incomprehensible event. It is as if the black box is a silent guardian, preserving the truth until it can be revealed. The allure of the black box is not just in what it contains, but in what it represents: the possibility of making sense out of chaos, of finding order in the aftermath of disaster. In reality, they are not boxes, but heavily fortified cylindrical data recorders, and they are painted bright orange to make them easier to find amidst the chaos of a crash site. The term black box is a misnomer, a relic of early aviation history, but it has endured because it captures the imagination. These devices are engineered to survive the unimaginable, searing fires, crushing impacts, and the corrosive depths of the ocean. Their resilience is a testament to human ingenuity and our determination to learn from tragedy. Yet the name persists, because it perfectly captures our collective desire for truth in the face of tragedy. When investigators arrive at a crash site, the search for the black box is their highest priority. It is the one object that can cut through the confusion and provide a clear narrative of what happened. The black box is more than just a piece of equipment. It is the embodiment of our quest for understanding, our refusal to accept the unknown. The black box is the heart of the investigation, the single most important piece of evidence. Without it, investigators are left to piece together clues from twisted metal and scattered debris, relying on incomplete information and educated guesses. With it, they can reconstruct the final moments of a flight with astonishing precision, uncovering the chain of events that led to disaster. It is the silent witness that can speak from beyond the grave, telling the story of the aircraft's final desperate moments. The black box does not judge or speculate. It simply records, preserving the facts for those who seek the truth. In a world where so much is uncertain, the black box offers a rare sense of certainty, a record that cannot be altered or erased. Its recovery is a moment of profound hope in the midst of despair. For families waiting for answers, for investigators searching for clues, and for the world watching in horror, the discovery of the black box is a turning point. It is the first step on the long road to understanding, to healing, and to preventing future tragedies. The allure of the black box lies in its promise of narrative clarity. In the chaos of a crash, when everything seems random and senseless, the black box offers a coherent story. It is the thread that ties together the fragments of evidence, the voice that speaks when all others have been silenced. An air crash is a storm of chaos, a violent and instantaneous event that leaves behind a field of confusing wreckage. The violence of the impact, the fire, and the destruction can obliterate almost every trace of what happened. Investigators are often faced with a scene that defies comprehension, a landscape of twisted metal, scorched earth, and shattered lives. The black box cuts through that chaos. It is designed to withstand forces that would destroy almost anything else, to protect its precious cargo of data and voices. In the midst of devastation, it endures, waiting to be found and to reveal its secrets. It contains two vital streams of information: the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder. These two components work together to provide a comprehensive picture of the flight's final moments, capturing both the mechanical and the human elements of the disaster. The flight data recorder records hundreds, sometimes thousands of parameters, from airspeed and altitude to the position of the flaps and the thrust of the engines. Every second, it captures a snapshot of the aircraft's state, creating a detailed timeline of the flight. This data is invaluable to investigators, allowing them to reconstruct the flight's trajectory, identify anomalies, and pinpoint the exact moment when things went wrong. It provides the what of the accident, a precise, second-by-second timeline of the aircraft's mechanical and aerodynamic state. Investigators can see how the plane responded to control inputs, how systems behaved under stress, and how the sequence of events unfolded. This level of detail is essential for understanding not just what happened, but why it happened. It can show investigators the moment a system failed or the exact sequence of inputs that led the plane astray. Sometimes, a single data point, a sudden drop in altitude, a spike in engine temperature, a change in control surface position, can unlock the entire mystery. The flight data recorder is the forensic backbone of the investigation, providing the hard evidence that supports or refutes every theory. It transforms a mystery into a data-driven problem to be solved. With the data in hand, investigators can run simulations, test hypotheses, and recreate the flight in virtual space. They can see with mathematical certainty how the accident unfolded and what might have been done differently to prevent it. If the flight data recorder provides the what, the cockpit voice recorder provides the why. It is the human element, the emotional core of the investigation. While the data tells the story of the aircraft, the voice recorder tells the story of the people inside it. It captures the sounds of the cockpit, the voices of the pilots, the alarms from the control panel, the clicks of switches, and the subtle, ominous sounds of a struggling airframe. Every word, every sound is preserved, creating an audio diary of the flight's final moments. The cockpit voice recorder is a window into the minds of the crew, revealing their thoughts, their fears, and their actions as the crisis unfolded. This is where the human drama of the disaster is laid bare. The voice recorder captures the tension, the confusion, the moments of clarity, and the flashes of panic. It records the teamwork, the communication, and sometimes the breakdowns that can make the difference between life and death. In these recordings, we hear not just the technical details, but the human experience of disaster. We can hear the confusion, the dawning realization of the problem, the struggle to regain control, and sometimes the final, chilling words. These moments are often heartbreaking, a reminder of the courage and vulnerability of those who find themselves at the center of catastrophe. The cockpit voice recorder is a testament to the humanity of flight crews, their professionalism, and their determination to do everything possible to save their aircraft and passengers. Listening to a cockpit voice recorder is a haunting and deeply intimate act. For investigators, it is both a privilege and a burden. They are granted access to the most private moments of a person's life, to the final words and actions of those who perished. It is a responsibility that is never taken lightly, and it is often accompanied by a profound sense of empathy and respect. It is an intrusion into the most private and terrifying moments of a person's life. Investigators must balance their need for information with their respect for the dignity of the victims. The process is emotionally taxing, and it can leave a lasting impact on those who undertake it. Yet it is essential, for it is through these recordings that the full story of the disaster can be told. For investigators, it is an essential tool for understanding the human factors involved, the decisions, the miscommunications, and the moments of heroism or error that shaped the outcome. The cockpit voice recorder allows them to reconstruct not just the sequence of events, but the thought processes and emotions that drove those events. It is a vital piece of the puzzle, without which the investigation would be incomplete. The quest for the black boxes can become an epic story in itself. The search is often a race against time, against the elements, and against the odds. It is a test of perseverance, ingenuity, and teamwork, as search teams brave treacherous conditions to recover these precious devices. When a plane goes down in a remote mountain range or disappears into the deep ocean, the search for these small, vital recorders becomes a monumental undertaking. Search teams must contend with extreme weather, rugged terrain, and the vastness of the sea. Every hour that passes makes the task more difficult, as the elements conspire to bury or scatter the wreckage. Teams of specialists using sophisticated sonar equipment and deep-sea submersibles can spend months or even years scanning the seabed. The search is painstaking, often covering thousands of square kilometers, and success is never guaranteed. Yet, the determination to find the black boxes is unwavering, driven by the knowledge that they hold the answers everyone seeks. The successful recovery of a black box from the crushing depths of the Atlantic or the vast expanse of the Indian Ocean is a triumph of technology and human perseverance. It is a moment of celebration, a victory snatched from the jaws of defeat. The black box, battered but intact, is a symbol of hope, a promise that the truth will be found no matter how deep it is buried. It symbolizes our refusal to let a tragedy remain a mystery. The recovery of the black box is a statement of intent. We will not rest until we have uncovered the truth. It is a commitment to the victims, to their families, and to the future safety of aviation. It represents a promise made to the victims, to their families, and to the flying public. We will find out what happened. The black box is a bridge between the past and the future, between loss and learning. It is a tool for healing, for justice, and for progress. We will listen to the story the black box has to tell, no matter how difficult it is to hear. In the end, the allure of the black box is not just in its ability to solve mysteries, but in its role as a guardian of truth, a silent witness that ensures the lessons of the past are never forgotten, and that every tragedy, no matter how great, can lead to a safer tomorrow. It's easy to think of an air crash in terms of just mechanics and machinery. When we hear about an aviation disaster, our minds often jump straight to the technical aspects. The nuts and bolts, the wires and circuits, the complex systems that keep a plane in the sky. We picture the intricate dance of gears and hydraulics, the roar of engines, the silent calculations of onboard computers. It's natural in a way, because airplanes themselves are marvels of engineering, the result of decades of innovation and relentless pursuit of safety and efficiency. We talk about engine failure, structural fatigue, or maybe software glitches. We dissect the possible points of failure, the stress fractures that might have gone unnoticed, the lines of code that could have misfired at a critical moment. The language of aviation accidents is filled with technical jargon, terms like compressor stall, rudder hardover, or uncommanded pitch. These are the puzzle pieces investigators must fit together to reconstruct what happened in those final frantic moments. We analyze data points and flight paths, searching for answers in the technical details. The black box becomes a symbol of hope and dread, holding within it the last words, the final decisions, the crucial seconds that might explain everything. Teams of experts pore over graphs and charts, replaying the flight second by second, looking for the anomaly, the deviation, the clue that will unlock the mystery. But honestly, to do that is to miss the most important part of the story. Because behind every technical failure, every mechanical breakdown, there is a human cost that can't be measured in data or diagrams. It's easy to get lost in the science and forget that every flight is more than just a machine in motion. It's a vessel carrying hopes, dreams, and lives. An airplane isn't just a collection of metal, wires, and fuel. It's the product of thousands of hours of labor, the culmination of countless safety checks, and the embodiment of trust. Trust between passengers and crew, between designers and regulators, between families and the airlines that promise to bring their loved ones home safely. When it's up in the air, it's actually a small, temporary community. For a few hours, everyone on board shares the same space, the same air, the same journey. Strangers become neighbors, and the boundaries of nationality, language, and background blur as everyone is united by the simple act of flying together toward a common destination. It's like a microcosm of society, filled with people from all walks of life, each with their own story, their own destination, and their own network of loved ones waiting for them. There are families reuniting after years apart, business travelers chasing opportunities, tourists seeking adventure, and people simply returning home. Each seat holds a universe of memories, ambitions, and connections. A crash isn't just the failure of a machine, it's the destruction of that community and the shattering of countless other communities on the ground. The impact ripples outward, touching friends, families, colleagues, and even strangers who hear the news and feel a pang of empathy. The loss is not just physical, but emotional and psychological, leaving scars that may never fully heal. The true weight of the tragedy, it's measured not in tons of wreckage, but in human loss. It's in the empty seats at dinner tables, the unanswered phone calls, the birthdays and anniversaries that will never be celebrated. It's in the tears of those left behind, the stories that are suddenly cut short, the futures that will never unfold. Behind every seat number, there's a person, a name, a face, a life. Someone who laughed, who loved, who dreamed of tomorrow. Someone who mattered deeply to others, whose absence will be felt in ways both big and small. There's the student heading abroad to study, filled with excitement and maybe a little fear, carrying the hopes of their family and the promise of a new beginning. The young couple on their honeymoon, hearts full of love and anticipation, ready to start a new chapter together. The business executive flying to a crucial meeting, perhaps hoping to close a deal that could change the course of their company or even their life. The grandparent eager to meet a new grandchild, carrying gifts and stories, looking forward to holding a tiny hand for the first time. There are the flight attendants, moving through the cabin with practiced calm, offering reassurance and comfort, trained to handle emergencies, but always hoping they never have to. And the pilots in the cockpit, bearing the immense responsibility for every soul on board. They are the guardians of the journey, making split-second decisions, drawing on years of experience and training, always aware that the lives of hundreds rest in their hands. When we read the passenger manifest of a downed flight, it's a stark and honestly heartbreaking document. Each line is a life, a story interrupted. It's a list that should have ended with safe arrivals, not with tragedy. Each name represents a life, a world of experiences, relationships, and future possibilities that was extinguished in an instant. Behind every photograph at a memorial, there are memories. Birthdays, graduations, quiet moments, and loud celebrations, all now frozen in time. Understanding a crash really requires us to look beyond the technical report and see the faces of those who were lost. It means recognizing the humanity behind the headlines, the individuality behind the statistics. It means remembering that every number in a report was once a living, breathing person. The story of an investigation is also a human story. It's a journey through grief and determination, through confusion and clarity, as experts work tirelessly to piece together the truth. It's not carried out by faceless bureaucrats or emotionless robots. It's the work of real people, each with their own reasons for dedicating their lives to this difficult and often heartbreaking field. It's the work of dedicated men and women who must step into scenes of unimaginable devastation. They walk through twisted metal and scorched earth, searching for answers amid the chaos, driven by a sense of duty and compassion. These investigators are highly trained professionals, engineers, pilots, metallurgists, and human factors specialists, but they're also human beings. They carry the weight of what they see, the knowledge that their work is not just about finding fault, but about preventing future heartbreak. They have to maintain their professional detachment while sifting through deeply personal belongings and the tragic remains of the victims. Every wallet, every photograph, every piece of luggage is a reminder of the lives that were lost, and the families who are waiting for answers. They carry the heavy burden of their work, knowing that the families are desperate for answers, and that the safety of future travelers depends on their diligence. They must balance empathy with objectivity, compassion with rigor, as they search for the truth. Theirs is a quiet, often thankless but profoundly important job. They work long hours, sometimes in harsh conditions, driven by the hope that their efforts will make a difference, that their findings will save lives, that their dedication will bring some measure of peace to those left behind. This human element is what makes the story of aviation disasters so enduringly powerful. It's what draws us in, what makes us grieve for people we've never met, what compels us to demand answers and accountability. The technical details are fascinating, and the lessons learned are, of course, vital. Every improvement in aviation safety is written in the ink of past tragedies. Every new regulation a response to a lesson learned the hard way. But it's the personal stories that connect with us on a fundamental level. It's the letters left behind, the photographs found in the wreckage, the memories shared at memorials that remind us of what was truly lost, the stories of the survivors who must live with the memory of what happened. Some carry physical scars, others invisible wounds, all forever changed by a moment that divided their lives into before and after. The stories of the families who must learn to navigate a world without their loved ones. They find strength in each other, in community, in the hope that their loss will not be in vain. The stories of the investigators who dedicate their lives to finding the truth, so that others might be spared the same fate. Their work is a testament to resilience, to the belief that even in tragedy, there can be meaning and progress. These are the stories that give meaning to the twisted metal and the silent recorders. They are the reason we keep searching for answers, the reason we keep striving to make air travel safer for everyone. They remind us that the stakes of air travel are not just mechanical, but deeply and, irrevocably human. Every flight is a leap of faith, a testament to our shared desire to connect, to explore, to move forward. And every investigation, every lesson learned is a promise to honor those we've lost by making the skies safer for those yet to fly.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard.
Every air crash is a tragedy, but it's also a lesson. Each time an aircraft goes down, the world mourns, families are shattered, and communities are left searching for answers. But in the midst of this heartbreak, there is a relentless drive to understand what went wrong, to ensure that such a tragedy never happens again. The skies, after all, are not just a place of wonder and freedom. They are also a place where the cost of error is measured in lives. It's a harsh and unforgiving teacher, but the knowledge gained from the wreckage has honestly been the single most important driver of safety in the history of aviation. Every twisted piece of metal, every scorched wire, every data point from a black box tells a story. Investigators sift through the chaos, piecing together the final moments of a flight, not just to assign blame, but to extract the vital lessons hidden within the tragedy. The sky we fly in today is extraordinarily safe, not in spite of past disasters, but actually because of them. Each accident, as devastating as it is, has contributed to a culture of relentless improvement. The aviation industry is unique in its commitment to learning from failure, turning every setback into a stepping stone toward a safer future. Each accident, meticulously investigated and understood, becomes a chapter in a vast textbook on how to build, maintain, and fly airplanes more safely. These investigations are exhaustive, often taking months or even years, and involve experts from around the world. They examine not just the technical aspects, but also the human factors, the weather, the maintenance records, and even the culture within airlines and regulatory bodies. This grim process of learning from failure is the solemn promise that emerges from the aftermath of a crash. It is a promise made to the victims and their families that their loss will not be meaningless, that their story will help protect others. The painstaking work of investigators is driven by a sense of duty, a commitment to making the skies safer for everyone. The loss of life is not in vain if it prevents future losses. Each name etched on a memorial is a reminder of the stakes and a call to action for those who design, build, and operate aircraft. The aviation community honors the memory of those lost by ensuring that their fate leads to meaningful change. This is the core principle that guides every investigation and the hope that gives purpose to the painful work. The process is not about finding a scapegoat, but about uncovering the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. It is this commitment to transparency and improvement that has made aviation a model for other industries. Consider the evolution of an aircraft. From the earliest days of flight, when wooden biplanes struggled to stay aloft, to the sleek, high-tech jets of today, every generation of airplane has been shaped by the lessons of the past. The process of innovation in aviation is not just about pushing boundaries, but about learning from every mistake, every oversight, and every unexpected event. A modern jetliner is the product of over a century of development, and much of that development was spurred by discovering a fatal flaw. The history of aviation is filled with stories of near misses and disasters that led to breakthroughs in design, engineering, and operations. Each improvement, no matter how small, is a testament to the industry's determination to never repeat the mistakes of the past. When early jet airliners began mysteriously falling apart in midair, investigations into the wreckage revealed the previously unknown danger of metal fatigue around square windows. This discovery was a turning point, leading to a fundamental change in how airplanes were designed. The tragedy of those crashes forced engineers to rethink the very shape of the windows, and in doing so, they made flying immeasurably safer for generations to come. The result? Modern aircraft have oval windows, a simple design change that has saved countless lives. This is just one example of how a single lesson, learned at great cost, can ripple through the entire industry, influencing every new airplane that takes to the sky. It's a reminder that progress is often born from pain, and that every detail matters when it comes to safety. When a fire in a cargo hold brought down a plane, new regulations mandated advanced smoke detectors and fire suppression systems in those compartments. The industry responded swiftly, recognizing that even a small oversight could have catastrophic consequences. Today, cargo holds are equipped with state-of-the-art technology designed to detect and extinguish fires before they can threaten the lives of passengers and crew. From the wiring insulation to the software logic, nearly every component on a modern plane has been improved or redesigned in response to a lesson written in tragedy. Engineers and technicians work tirelessly to anticipate potential failures, drawing on decades of data and experience. The result is an aircraft that is not only more reliable but also more resilient in the face of unexpected challenges. The changes extend far beyond the aircraft itself. The entire ecosystem of aviation, from air traffic control to airport operations, has evolved in response to the hard lessons of the past. Procedures are constantly reviewed and updated, with an eye toward eliminating risk wherever possible. The way pilots are trained has been revolutionized by lessons learned from the cockpit voice recorder. These devices, once controversial, have become invaluable tools for understanding what happens in the moments leading up to an accident. Training now emphasizes not just technical skill, but also decision-making, communication, and the ability to remain calm under pressure. The concept of crew resource management, or CRM, which emphasizes teamwork, communication, and challenging authority in the cockpit, grew directly out of investigations that found that co-pilots were too intimidated to question a captain's fatal error. CRM has transformed the culture of aviation, breaking down hierarchies and encouraging open dialogue among crew members. This shift has prevented countless accidents and saved innumerable lives. Now, CRM is a global standard, empowering every member of the flight crew to speak up if they see something wrong. This culture of mutual respect and shared responsibility is one of the most significant advances in aviation safety, and it continues to evolve as new challenges emerge. Similarly, air traffic control procedures, weather forecasting for aviation, and airport maintenance protocols have all been strengthened and refined in the wake of accidents that exposed their weaknesses. The system is now more robust, with multiple layers of redundancy and oversight designed to catch errors before they can lead to disaster. International collaboration has become a cornerstone of aviation safety. Countries share data, best practices, and even investigators, recognizing that the sky knows no borders. This spirit of cooperation ensures that a lesson learned in one part of the world can benefit travelers everywhere. The entire system of aviation is a living entity, constantly adapting and learning. It is a vast, interconnected web of people, technology, and procedures, all working together to keep millions of passengers safe every day. The process is never finished. There is always more to learn, always another risk to mitigate. This is why, we're drawn to these stories and why they're so important to tell. They remind us of the fragility of life, but also of the incredible resilience and ingenuity of the human spirit. Each investigation, each report, is a testament to our collective determination to make the world a safer place. They're not just tales of disaster, they're tales of redemption. They show how, even in the darkest moments, there is hope for a better future. The legacy of every crash is not just the pain it caused, but the lives it will save. They show a system that is capable of confronting its most catastrophic failures with honesty and a commitment to improvement. This willingness to face uncomfortable truths, to admit mistakes and learn from them, is what sets aviation apart. The process is slow, painstaking, and often invisible to the public. Behind every safe flight are countless hours of work by people whose names will never be known, but whose dedication makes all the difference. But its results are undeniable. Today, millions of people board airplanes every day, trusting that they will arrive safely at their destination. This trust is not taken lightly. It is earned flight by flight through an unwavering commitment to safety. Flying has transformed from a daring adventure for the wealthy few into the safest mode of mass transportation in human history. The odds of being involved in a fatal accident are now so low that air travel is statistically safer than driving, walking, or even staying at home in some cases. This incredible achievement was not a matter of luck. It is the result of decades of hard work, innovation, and a relentless pursuit of perfection. Every new technology, every new procedure, is built on the foundation of lessons learned from the past. It was built, piece by piece, from the hard-won knowledge gained from every crash site, every black box, and every life that was tragically lost. The black box, in particular, has become a symbol of this commitment, a silent witness that speaks for those who cannot, ensuring that their story is heard and their sacrifice is not forgotten. The promise of a safer sky is not just for us, but for future generations. Every improvement made today ensures that tomorrow's travelers, our children, our grandchildren, will fly in skies that are safer than ever before. This is the true legacy of aviation's relentless quest for safety. The promise of a safer sky tomorrow is the most important legacy of yesterday's disasters. It is a promise kept every time a plane takes off and lands safely, and a reminder that even in the face of tragedy, we can build a better, safer world.